Hello, everybody. My name is Louis Lee, and this is Planning Traffic. We do this every Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, except for holidays. We talk about cars, boats, trucks, anything you can put gas in. Got my man Ray from Motormouth Radio. What's up, Ray?
In the house, Lewis. Good to see you again this week. It's always a
Yes,
pleasure.
sir. Yes, sir. This week went by quick.
Hell yeah.
It seemed like I didn't get anything done, but I did.
I did too. I got a lot. I got a lot done actually, and that's maybe why it. I think that's the thing. We talked about when guys retire or they have time off. When you don't do things, time drags.
Yeah.
Like when you're at work. You know,
Yep.
and you're not doing nothing but goofing off. Time seems to drag. It's like, oh damn, is it 12 o'clock yet? Is it coffee break time yet? When's the time to go home?
Right.
But when you're busy, and you're not looking at your watch, it flies.
Yeah.
And now to compound that, I turn around and it's dark outside.
Oh, yeah. My wife just said that yesterday. That it's dark early again.
Yeah. It's like 7 now, 7, a little after 7 o'clock. Like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes quick. The summer just blew by.
So yeah, so we got more projects on this end that we're getting involved in. We'll see how they go. I'm kind of getting close to wrapping one up now on that Oldsmobile I've been working on. So that's good. Can't wait to fire that thing up and see how it sounds.
Now, what all are you doing to it?
That car came in after a 25-year nap, and it had been a real hot rod and a street racer, and the guy wanted to revive it again and just get it back in shape. So we were already thinking, okay, we're going to go through the brakes, the fuel system, get it running, all of that. And we literally took it off the flatbed and put it on the lift. And I said, I think we have exhaust valve problems. And the guy that owns the shop said, what do you mean? How do you know that? By looking at the bottom of the car. I'm like, because both of the mufflers are exploded. And I had that issue on a Buick where, it had a backfire sound like dual 12 gauges. And it was because of bad exhaust valves. So once I got the car running, which was easy to do, it really just first thing I did was drop the tank, went through all of that. Everything was pristine inside of there. Put a new sending unit in it, put 5 gallons of gas in the car, primed the carburetor, boom, started up.
Oh, man.
At an idle, it would pop out of the exhaust. So that was strike number 2.
Mm-hmm.
That was clue number 2. Then I did, what did I do first? I think I pulled the carburetor off. And the car had a Torker intake on it, which is a wide open plenum made for high RPM use. And the quadrajet that was on there did not mate with it. They put that on back in 2015 to try and get the car running again. It was a total mismatch because the ports were so big. I used my video camera to snake down. I wanted to see if I could see the backs of the valves. I really couldn't. So I did a compression test and all the cylinders were good, strong. Then I scoped all of the spark plug holes with my camera. And I found on one side of the engine, all the pistons were a little bit of carbon, but, clean and dry. And on the other side, they were all wet. I said, that's the valves leaking. So I said, okay, that's strike 3. Pull the heads. Little did I know what it's like to pull the heads on a 455 Oldsmobile in a car that has air conditioning. Just to give you an idea, okay, so you pull off the alternator and, the AC was disconnected, so no big deal. But you pull the alternator, you disconnect the wires and hoses, take the intake and carb off, and now you start unbolting the heads. Well, the driver's side head, the last push rod can't come out of the head because it hits the power brake booster. That's how those engines are very wide.
Yeah.
The passenger side, the last 2 push rods can't come out because they hit the evap box. So that means you got to lift the head to give it space to get those over the push rods. So it was hard enough doing that. I'm already thinking like, what am I going to have to do to put these heads back on?
Yeah.
Oh, I dreaded it. So cut the headers off with a Sawzall, sent the heads out for repair. And I got them back on about 2 weeks ago. And that was, a lot of bolts in the back are very hard to get out again because it's so wide. I got it to the point now yesterday where I got the carb intake back on. It's all dressed out. Really, all I got to do is motor mounts, exhaust manifolds, and I'm just putting rear brakes on it. And then I'll be able to fire it up again, and we'll send it to the exhaust shop. So I'm close. So
now, so since you retired,
Mhm.
and now you can work on the cars at your leisure,
mhm.
does it give you more enjoyment working on cars?
Yes, because now it's on my time. The beauty of this whole thing was, like I'm not on the clock. I mean, I log my hours and I get paid by the hour, but I'm not like a salaried employee at the shop. I get paid by the hour for what I do. So over like, I know this guy, I kind of let him down. I think he really wanted the car back by Labor Day and he didn't get it. But there were some weeks at the end of July and into August, it was just too damn hot to go and work in that shop. And I didn't go. I stayed home. I was like,
Right.
I'm not gonna sit there and sweat my ass off. I'm gonna stay home. It was like just too tiring. So
Yeah.
I would have had this done already, if I had been a little more diligent. But again, nobody really complains what I do. So I took the liberty of just really pushing it a bit.
Yeah, that's a
And
nice feeling though.
now it's nice. Now it's nice working in the shop. It's not bad. You can use a fan, small fan. It's not bad. You're not sweating your ass. When the sweat's dripping off your head, I was wearing a bandana to keep the sweat out of my eyes. Like, oh man, you're using tools. Your hands are greasy and sweaty, and it's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah,
So,
later for that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's nice to make your own schedule and do things on your own time. So
Yeah.
that helped out a lot. But
So while I was drinking my morning tea, I strolled around to the back of the garage and I was looking at the caddy,
okay.
and then that was all. I came back up front and
Yeah. Hey, some days it's like that.
yeah.
And I'll get a bug up my ass. Sometimes I'll come in the afternoon, take like an afternoon nap. And then like 5 or 6 o'clock, I'll get up and then I'll just go outside and start tearing into something.
Mm.
And it's like I'm going. It's like, and my wife's calling me, hey, time to eat dinner. Like, I got no time for dinner. I'm just like a buzzsaw.
Right.
It's nice when you're not restrained by the clock.
Yeah.
I'm not like some of my friends. I got some friends who'll actually work through the night. I mean, I did that, but years ago. I'm not that bad. I won't work all hours of the night, although, it's available to me. And it's nice working at night because you usually get no phone calls, no texts, nobody's bothering you.
Yep.
So if you're a night owl, I never really was. You can really get a lot done at night.
So I used to be a night owl when I was self-employed, but then when I got a job, I had to go to bed early.
Right.
So now I'm starting to get back into the night stuff because I get a lot done because nobody's messing with me and it's quiet. I do a lot of computer work and
Exactly. Yeah. Nighttime is the right time. You can get a lot done at night. I know my co-host on the radio show on More Math Radio, Chris, he was always a bit of a night owl. And I know because like I get emails from him at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Like, dude, what were you doing up at 3 a.m.? I got up. I was working on a project. I just wanted to get it done. So I'm like, okay, that's wow. Always amazed me. But
Brian just made me nervous. He had his gun out. I was, I didn't know if he had problems, but he put it away.
that usually they don't usually come out till after 10. That's usually when we start pulling out the hardware. But maybe he's sending a message. I don't know.
So how do you make out with you get your concealed carry permit?
All done. Yeah, man. I've been packed every day. And now, in fact, New York City, there's another lawsuit, and I'm going to be getting one for New York City. I'll get a city permit now. So I'm going to carry there, which was unobtainium. But that one's coming down. I called my trainer and put him on it because he knows a guy in the PD high up enough to get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
I met a guy at a cruise night this week who owns the place where the training is done. And he was telling me that, this lawsuit went through. And if you're a permitted carrier already, they put in a guy sued the city. A guy from Connecticut sued the city. Oh, he's going to sue the city. He brought a lawsuit, and instead of going through the lawsuit, because the Bruin decision, the city took a big beating on that.
Right.
They didn't want to go through it again, so they figured we'll just issue a non-resident permit. We'll let him have a non-resident permit so he can carry in the city if he's already carried in his state.
Mm-hmm.
So that applies to me because I don't live in the city or the 5 boroughs. I'm in the outskirts. I'm in the,
Right.
I'm in Nassau County. So technically I'm not a city resident, so I can get a non-resident permit and then, and get that. So now the problem is I go on the PD website and the guy told me, yeah, it's a special permit. It'll be under the pistol section. I couldn't find it. They buried it, man. I think the dirt they're still digging. I think they're still digging. So I called the trainer and he said, all right, I'll check. He was, I looked quick. I didn't see it either. I'll put my buddy on the case who's in the mix. He says, I'll get an answer for you right away. Because he wants to use the information in his class also. So and the guy that I met with on Monday said, guys that are already permitted and checked out, he says they've been getting it as quick as 2 weeks.
Oh, that's good.
So, and I got papers in for a Florida one for reciprocity reasons. So I'm gonna have like a stack, I'm gonna have like a stack of permits.
Yeah. Well, I belong to USCCA.
USCCA. Yeah, I joined Gun Owners of America. I went the other way. Yeah.
And
big legislation group. Yeah.
What's nice is you get the app on your phone. So anytime I cross state lines, it would alert me.
I have the app right on the front page of my phone for the reciprocity map. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Oh, did it alert you, huh?
Oh yeah, it alerts you saying that you're entering so and so, and it kind of gives you a little bit of the laws too.
Right.
So you kind of know what to do.
There is a lot of reciprocity. I mean, the states that don't really until now have been New York, the Upper East, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, I guess Massachusetts. And I know, of course, California, but now they're protesting with California now too. Right. The other thing that they tell you is certain states you're required to tell an officer who pulls you over that you're carrying, and other states so in my state, New York, I'm not required to tell them.
Oh, that's good.
You don't have to tell him. I mean, if he asks, yeah, you tell him. But
yeah, we used to, but then they changed the law here.
Yeah,
so we don't have to either. But I'll tell them anyway. I'm like, officer, I stop him right away. I am carrying. I'm CC, W carrier, and they thank me, and then they move on to whatever they were doing.
The trainer had a good point in the class, and he said, "Okay, picture a typical traffic stop. Let's make believe it's night, and you pulled over. You put your lights on. You got your windows down. You know that there's an officer coming up on your right. There's one there's one on your left, but there's one on your right too. He's hanging by the quarter panel as backup. He's always there." He says, "Now, the officer on your left, you tell him, yeah, so I just want to let you know that, I have a gun." He says, "The only thing that other cop is hearing is the word gun."
Yeah, they'll say that.
And if he's a new guy or if he's jumpy, so he said, never say that. He said, the best way to handle it is when you hand the officer your license, your driver's license, hand him your CCW with it.
Yeah.
And this way, now he knows, and he'll question you, are you carrying? Yes. Where is it? It's on my hip, on my side, or it's up my ass, wherever, Yeah. And then he'll tell you from there what to do. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's like you learn to be a lawyer. You got to learn. It's like,
yeah, it's kind of crazy, right?
You got to learn legal, but it'll save your ass. It'll keep you out of trouble. So,
oh yeah,
it pays.
Too bad New Jersey's not getting on board because they're awful.
That's another one, right?
You can't even carry a bullet, what do you call it?
A jacketed bullet.
No, non-jacket. What do you call it?
Not full metal jacket. JHP.
Yeah, you can't carry those in New Jersey at all.
Yeah. I just saw something today. I watched the video. Guy was showing about flying. Again, it's a couple lawyers who have there's a bunch of lawyers that have sites I watch, and they were saying, flying with firearm, and they said, of course you pack the gun in your suitcase and unload it and this, that, and the other thing. But they said always have, multiple locks. Make sure the container can't be opened or pried open. And they said now that there's a lock. It's like a chain lock with it looks like I think it was a combination lock, and it had a red diamond on it, and that meant it's TSA approved.
Oh,
So
yeah.
these lawyers are out of Texas, and the one woman said, "Buy those locks." She says because they'll get in if they want to get in. They'll cut your locks, and then you need new locks. But the TSA lock, they have a master key for. So she says if they want to get in and see something, they're going to get in and see it no matter what. So it's better that they unlock the lock than they cut your locks and leave you hanging. So I didn't know that. I got to find out where to get those locks.
Yeah. They probably have it at gun shop. Gun store.
I'm going to a show this weekend. So we got a show this weekend out here, which we haven't had in a long time. So I'm gonna I'll be looking for stuff like that.
Let's get the fellas in and see what they're talking about. We got a special guest in. We're gonna put him in first. Hey,
wow, look who it is,
gentlemen.
Long time no see.
Hey, Lewis.
How's things going?
Hey guys.
Oh, not too bad. Did you see that link I sent you on those wheels?
On the wheels? No. Let me check. Where'd you send it? Facebook?
Yeah, I think it was Facebook. I popped it to you. You said you were still looking for some wheels for the bus or for the coach.
Oh yeah.
The Arcolas?
Let's see. Yeah.
They're that new style Kenworth. They're really different. They're not the traditional, just straight hold Alcoas.
Oh yeah. Oh, they have the almost diamond.
Like a squarish type. Like I said, I sent it to you, and it's just that Matt Coman, Jim, and of course Ray. Salutations to one and all.
You.
I don't see it. I'll look for it later though.
Oh,
Are they down there by you?
Trying to remember where it was when I like I said, I saw them and remembered that you said you were looking for some wheels, and
I thought you put it on the plane and traffic page.
Oh, did you?
Did I?
Let's see.
I remember seeing them.
But anyways, it's good to see you guys. I'm not working tomorrow, so normally I'd be in bed by now with those 2 and 3 a.m. wake up calls. They suck.
Woo!
Lewis knows about those.
Yeah.
You got to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to get rolling.
Gotta go.
That's it. Time waits for no one.
Yeah. Were you hauling anything good?
Just the same old intermodal stuff. The whole East Coast and down into the how do they call it? Down into around almost to the Mexican side. The ILA is not talking with the ports and all. So they're talking about the ILA going on strike and putting the whole East Coast down into the Gulf of Mexico, all the ports on hold.
Wow, that's crazy.
Because the ILA has walked away from every negotiation that they've tried to set up. So they said, we've got a strike vote that's been authorized by our members. So the only thing that keeps getting bounced around is when, not if, when. And I said, well, that's their ace in the hole, is they can just kind of slow roll and go, okay, we're on strike.
Yeah.
So all of the shipping, they're doing a reverse. When they were having trouble in Long Beach and LA, they were shipping things to Houston and Newark and Dundalk and Maryland and all that, trying to avoid the West Coast. Well, now, since they've point blank said, we're going to target the East Coast, all the shipping goes to the other side of the coast now. So everybody is shipping to SeaTac in Seattle or, Long Beach or LA or wherever, trying to avoid that, that snarling issue.
Yeah, Baltimore's still screwed up. We don't have a bridge, so.
Yeah, that is crazy. When that happened, they had one here in Charleston do almost the same thing. All of a sudden, there was like unregulated speed. This container ship is doing 16 knots out, and they had imagine a wake of a 700-foot vehicle that's displacing all that weight, come cruising by at 16, 17 knots. which I forget what the nautical term is, but it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's big for something that big. Yeah, it pushes a lot of water. So
Tell you, our whole country's upside down, man.
yeah, it's Boeing. The Boeing workers are striking. I know that some of the flight attendants and pilots have voted to strike. It's crazy.
Well,
Oh,
it's
that's
just,
all right. She'll fix everything.
Oh
don't
yeah.
worry. Yeah, when Mama gets in, don't worry. Don't
Well,
even get me started on that because I got the black SUV parked in the driveway now. Since I have extra space, I just rent it to them, so
Yeah,
they don't have far to go to get me.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So,
I
We got a
I
half
think-
hour, so
think
Yeah.
honestly, it's going to be like, what was it, 2 years ago, 22, I think it was, when they tried to do a railroad, the railroad union
yeah.
went to strike, and they stepped in and said, because I had, I guess, enough people told Oatmeal Brains, if they do stop the trains, fuel, I mean, there's just like trucking. There's so many commodities that are in your hands every day are moved on trains and planes and automobiles. In 2 or 3 days of no trains or no trucks, and they're going to be screaming, "Fix this and fix it now."
Sure.
Well, I forget what I had it somewhere where it said in 2 days with no trucks, gas stations will be out of gas. Not convenience grocery stores will be shelves on grocery stores will be empty, and they went through on almost a day-to-day basis with no trucks or delivery, and they said within a week it'll be freaking mass chaos. Literally, it'll be Katie bar the door in a week.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely, and the crazy part is that you have like a buddy of mine that runs a grocery store. He's a head manager at the grocery store, and talking to the guys in the back, they'll get a load of stuff. It'll be so much that they don't even have room to store it. It's not even balanced or scheduled. Like you said, it's just completely crazy. It's the same stuff I go through. Normally we used to be 3 days on a general run of stuff, and all of a sudden you see the stuff leaving. You see the stuff leaving, and you're like, okay, I should see it in 3 days. Well, a week goes by, and you're like, well, where the hell is it? And it's been like rerouted, redirected, sent in a circle. We're all walking around in a round circle in a square. It's just crazy on that stuff. And then they turn around, they get an order, and there's just like 1 or 2 boxes, or half a load comes in. It's really bizarre. On the whole system's all out of whack.
I know Lewis can verify with this because of his driving history. The biggest Charlie Foxtrot, in my opinion, on trucking in that industry was when they started implementing the just-in-time freight.
yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like, we don't warehouse this stuff anymore. We have just enough for 1, maybe 2 orders, and that's it.
Right.
And then everybody's like, well, I ordered it. And it's like, well, yeah, it's in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. And you're like, nobody wants to pay for warehouse, which, I mean, and as a business owner, I get the not having a bunch of your inventory chewing up your money. I get that. But still, the balance is so thin right now that it's, like a piece of mortadella. You could see through it. It's, it's so thin.
Vince, in the beginning, I remember when my friend's motorcycle shop did that. He brought an efficiency expert in to see how he could streamline his business. And they made a lot of great recommendations. And one was, you have way too much stock. And you got parts for 57 Sportsters. And how many, we ran a report. You haven't sold one of these in like 8 years, and you got 6 of them sitting in a box. Sell them off, make it a liquid, turn that stuff into cash, and start doing spot ordering. And that's what they did. But at the time, I got to say, they did get stuff fast. Like, I'd go in and order something, and I'd have it in like, a day or two. It was quick. Now I mean, you gotta see the trouble I have with auto parts. I've been waiting on a set of brake shoes, 9.5-inch GM brake shoes, for 3 days, and I just heard they came today.
Well, it's kind of like Ray. Like my dad's got an 80. This is his fourth vet. It's a C3, and he was having some issues with some noise and some vibration on acceleration and deceleration. I said, well, that could be something in the pinion or whatever, but he wanted to go through and rebuild everything. And a buddy of mine that he was going to take it to, he's probably the best, just pure mechanic I've ever met, bar none. He told him, he says, you don't want to do that. Because 20, 30-year-old parts or whatever that are in that 80 Corvette are better than the crap that you're going to go to the store and get now that's all Chinesium. And he says, let's figure out what the problem is and we'll fix that instead of just do everything. I said, it's commendable to want to repair everything, but he's going, the stuff that's there is, if it's not dead, it's better than what you're going to buy to replace.
I have a good friend locally who owns a transmission shop, and even this is like 5-6 years ago, he brought in a bag of parts to the shop, to the radio show, and he had a drum and a clutch and all sorts of stuff, and he was showing, he says, you see these parts, these are all bad, these are out of a GM transmission. He says, well, the parts had failed. He goes, but I can reuse this drum, and I can reuse some of this stuff. He goes, other things you just, you change, the wear items. Then he showed us what the replacements of the day were. And you could see, without even touching it, how much lighter and thinner. And he said, what they're doing is they're engineering stuff, and I've seen this, and I know it's true. They're engineering parts thinner and thinner and thinner until they fail, and then they're backing it up like 5%. So they can have the slimmest margin of passability to get something out the door and pass warranty, and then after that, they don't care.
Designed obsolescence.
He says, you know what? Keep your old stuff. And he said, he goes, what you guys do is actually, I'm starting to see like what you guys do is good. You're keeping the old stuff going, and you can still rebuild it. And
yeah, I was getting some grief from somebody we all know about why I was going to do a 4-wheel disc brake on my Comet or my Cyclone. And I was like, well, because when I pulled the drums off, they're basically 3 of the 4 are hollow. The drums are thrown on and there's nothing in there. It's like,
right.
Yeah, it's going to be cheaper for me just to do a 4-wheel disc than to try to go find.
Yeah, I can see that.
Even though it is a big, what they call a Torino big bearing 9-inch Ford, it's still, I can do I can swap it out, put an 11-inch drum on the back, 11-inch disc on the back. The kit, the AJ8 kit that I've got is set up for the Fox body. Fox body's set up for the spindle.
If you're lucky, you go out to the junkyard and you find something that's been sitting around for the last 40 years, and you clean it up, rebuild it, and you'll be a whole hell of a lot better off than these new kits. Because on some of these forums I'm on, the Mustang forums and the Ford ones, where these guys are buying these kits, just like Ray was having problems with pedal pressure, and nobody knows what parts or what's with. I mean, it is absolutely insane that we have gotten to this point.
Hey, that's a good Crazy Eddie impersonation. And only the New York guys know what I'm talking about, right, Jim?
Oh, I know. Absolutely insane.
Crazy Eddie, his prices are insane.
Yeah, I know. Well, we had the same guy down here, but trust me, dude.
Right. The only problem with that, which I'm totally for, like you said, finding something and making it work. You go to they don't call them junkyards anymore. They're salvage yards or
recycling centers.
It's a junkyard. Get real. Grow up.
Yeah.
Any salvage yard around, Charleston, I would honestly say within 100-mile radius of where I'm at, 100 miles, you can't find anything older than a 90s something. Yep. It's crushed.
Well, I understand that's very true, because we had the same problem here. Because again, once the government got involved and they told these junkyards, you can't have anything older than this, or it's, you're going to be fined, penalized, whatever. And next thing you know, it was just a mad dash to crush all this stuff. And
all of this went to hell in a handbasket when they did the what was
Yeah,
it?
clunkers.
Cash for clunkers.
Cash for clunkers. When they did that, all of a sudden, the used car market went to hell. The salvage yards, like you said, they started incentivizing them to just crush it. And it's like, I saw them take two-door Impalas, early 70s and stuff like that were still would have made a cheaper hot rod, because not everybody, like who was talking about Camaros, how second gens and third gens are starting to get a following. Well, that's because first gen Camaro stuff is unattainable. If Ray, like you've looked at, go look at a nice 67, 8 or 9 OG Camaro. Most guys, or individuals, I should say, not guys, most people on a small budget can't touch it.
I saw the best option in a 68 Firebird at a cruise night Monday night. This guy, let me see if you can see it on the phone. I want this. It is like phenomenal. And I mean, this car was a total custom build. He did a lot of custom stuff that I really didn't like, a lot of interior lighting, a lot of stuff that was over the top. But he did this. So this is a shot of the inside of the car. You're looking at the console.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell what that is, Justin? It's a humidor.
A humidor.
Oh, really?
That's a humidity gauge in the middle. He's got a cigar there. He built a humidor into his console, and I said, "Man, I want one of those."
You have a little tray for his lighter and his cutter.
I'm sure he had. Yeah, I didn't go really pulling
Or
it.
punch. Not, some guys use a punch.
I know some guys use a punch.
Cutter,
but hey, I don't care. You know what? I got my own. I'll work that end of it out. I don't care. I thought that was so cool.
Hey,
I was like, man, that's neat. I like that.
Yeah, I remember, God, probably 30 years ago, Ray, that when guys were talking about Corvettes and all that the other day on the show. I remember some of the old school mechanics, and one guy in particular in Savannah, Bobby Linton, and that's all he did was Corvettes.
Yeah.
Bobby was so good. You could hand him a screw, and I swear, as God is my witness, I saw him do it. Somebody would hand him a screw and go, "What is this?" And he'd look at it and go, "That's a trim piece off of like a C2," and he would tell you where that screw went, because that's for 35, 40 years. All he did is work on Corvettes.
Yeah, when you deal with them enough, that's your life. You know every nut bolt and screw.
You
Right?
look at a nut and bolt to tell you where it was and where it came from, and this is not the plating. The cadmium plating is not. It's worn off on this, and it's like, God, Bobby. He goes, like you said. He goes, "I've been doing it since I was a kid."
Sure.
I met
Like Mark Warman.
Yeah.
I met him when he was in his 40s, and he's like, "I've been doing this since I was like 16."
Yeah.
So it's just natural, like you said, it just comes natural to him because he's done it and done it.
I've done this. I have coffee cans and little cans of parts that I've taken off of cars, and I can usually open them up and tell you what that stuff is. I took them off of cars 40, 50 years ago, and I'll remember, oh yeah, this was a 72 Impala. These are the washer nozzles and the stuff for the steering wheel lock. It's a sickness.
My help was
it's terrible, but you can't remember your phone number.
Oh, I don't know what my number is.
I mean, that's everybody does that with the Mustang parts. They say, "What's this?" and you tell them, and like you said, or Porsche stuff. It's all the same. And
I had some help come over to help me in the garage to try to get the last of the stuff done, and it was the same thing. They're picking that up and they're going, "What is this?" And I'm going, "Oh, that's off the motorhome. That's off the Chevelle. That's off the Mustang. Yeah, that's off the Impala."
Sure.
It's like I knew it. She's going, "How do you know?" I said, "Because my crazy brain, when I took it off, I remember what kind of car it was and where I was at and what I was doing. When I pulled it off, I'm going to save that and go, instead of going, oh, this is screwed up, just junk it."
Yeah.
So
Very true.
Yep.
It's
all in there.
It's that crazy auto guy or car guy thinking.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember to put the dishes in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
It's funny. Louis, I've been in this house since December of last year. I've never used the dishwasher.
Yeah.
It's just me. So I it's that old bachelor or trucking lifestyle. When I was in that coach or the truck with the big sleeper, I had a little kitchenette in there. So you know, you get used to, you make a dinner, you know, you make something, oh, you just wash your plate, fork, and cup, wash it, put it back in the cupboard.
Yeah.
Done.
One set of everything.
That's it. One set of cups, dishes, forks, knives.
The only thing good for the dishwasher now is to keep your Oreos and chocolate chip cookies in. It keeps them fresh, airtight.
Those go in the freezer.
And you can clean your wire basket hubcaps in there.
Well, actually, you know, I have used the dishwasher. We're still alive, so Mama might be listening, but I have used the dishwasher for a few auto parts.
I've done it too.
Come on, Brian. Admit to nothing, deny everything, and demand proof.
I know. I had a set of
Never
wheels.
done that. Never.
I had a set of wheels, and she went off, and I was doing, of course, in the rack, only one wheel would fit at a time. So I'm running the dishwasher 4 times, you know,
Yeah.
put the wheel in, went through the next wheel, you know, and I'm on the last wheel. And here, you know, here she comes in the door, and I'm like, damn it, you know. And she's like, what are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm just, you know, I ran the dishwasher, did the dishes. And she goes, oh, okay. And she goes up and, you know, gets out of the street clothes and all that stuff. And I'm like, waiting. And of course, you know, that thing was done. Boy, I was popping that thing out. Hot, man. That thing was smoking, you know, hadn't pulled off. And opened the back door, set it on the porch, closed it. And she goes, what are you doing? Oh, I'm putting the stuff away now. Make a little bit of noise. It's all good.
Well, honey, let me confess right now. Yeah, I'm screwing the cat. All right. That's it. So
Yeah,
let's
that's
get
right.
that out in the open and we'll be stronger for it.
Of course, the worst thing ever, and this is being a kid and this is doing stuff in the wintertime, you do not want to warm up 90 weight in your mom and dad's microwave. That is a no-no.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that stuff
That really stinks.
Yeah.
So
stinks even when it's brand new.
Yeah.
we had stayed. I had stayed home. You know, that particular day to get the Mustang back on the rear, and it was cold as hell. And 90 weight had been sitting outside, so I brought it in. And my buddy said, "Just zap it for a minute," and yeah, it didn't go over too well. We had to open the house up, try to get the smell out before everybody came home. Boy, I tell you, that was a rough.
Gotta go out and buy like a bunch of curry and garlic and just throw it in on top of it and like just overrun it.
Right?
Everything tasted a little funny when you try to use the microwave. You know, a couple.
Lord willing, Ray, I'm gonna try to pack up those ants and mags and send them to you tomorrow.
Oh, jeez.
They're in the way. I told you could have them, and they fit it. They got the 5 on 4 3/4 bolt pattern, which
That works.
and they're like I said, I can't find any marks on them, but it's got ants and scratched on them, and I'm like, that's the right style wheel.
Actually, what I should have you do is hook up with my nephew who's in Mount Pleasant. I think he works in Charleston. He was fire rescue, and just hand them off to him instead of having to mail the damn things.
Well, if you want, like I said, I've got them sitting there in the garage.
That's probably the easiest thing to do.
And you know, I measured out the box, and I said, okay, I can get this to. So I'm gonna box them up and send them to you.
Yeah,
He'll even throw them in the dishwasher first.
Yeah, right.
Running through the cycle, man.
I'll send my nephew a text tomorrow, and I'll ask him. I'll see if it's
I mean,
doable.
like I said, either way, I mean, like I said, I'm in Somerville, but that's all right. I mean, I can swing over there, and my son works in Mount Pleasant, so I go surprise him or something. Or
How far is that proximity, Somerville to Mount Pleasant?
Well, Somerville, roughly where I'm at, to like downtown Charleston is like 25 miles.
All right, so he's not in the old section. He's in the new section off of 17. You know where the what's it? The Atomic Dog place? Atomic
Jack's,
Hot Dog?
You mean Jack's Cosmic Hot Dogs?
Yes, he's right by there.
Okay, yeah, that's
Not
not too
far
bad from what do you call it? The 41 and Park West and all that's right there.
But he works, I guess. I know he's like I said, fire rescue, and also he works.
Yeah,
I
there's
think close
when
to
I have to go to Myrtle Beach or Conway or whatever, I usually go up that way.
right.
Because, like I said, I'm rolling at 3-4 o'clock in the morning before everybody gets up.
Like I said, I'll touch base with him tomorrow and see what he says, and then I'll get in touch with you, let you know.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Like I said, either way, Ray. Like I said, I was going to box him up and just kind of surprise you, like I did with the Sturgill Simpson record.
Yeah, that's a good record.
Or I sent Ray a text message. I said, "Does this picture look familiar?" What was it, Ray?
It was my front porch. It was a box sitting on my front porch. I'm like, yeah, it does. That's my door. Where are you? In the tree?
I found a really cool album. Ray is nice enough to miraculously have LPs show up here at my house, so I returned the favor and sent him a few vinyls.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Always appreciate it.
I used to DJ and I had a whole bunch of records and I cannot find them. I think I left them in my old house.
Really?
Oh man, I'm upset.
My buddy that was a DJ when I was bouncing in Florida in the 90s, he always told us that the hardest 10-inch to find on vinyl was Clarence Carter Stroking on a 10-inch.
Oh, wow. Good song, too.
Because that was, again, back in the 90s, that was one of the mainstays of the won't say disco nights, but the bar scene and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm upset, man. I had some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only problem I've got right now, and I probably need to talk with Ray about it, is my damn turntable will
what
not
happened, everybody?
stop or not cancel.
So it's a semi-automatic. So at the end of the record, the turn is supposed to lift and come over. Yeah, there's a gear mechanism inside, and a lot of times the mechanisms are plastic, and either a gear breaks or the grease just gets so petrified and hard it can't work.
Right. Yeah, it just sits there instead of lubricating and just.
Yeah. So the first thing to do is like take it apart and look at it, and see what you can see. That's what type of table do you? Is that
it's a direct drive Marantz.
A Marantz. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like I said, it is a direct drive.
Right.
Even though I've always preferred direct drives.
Me too. Me too.
That really cool one I sent you with the Pink Floyd. When I saw when they were doing that, had the belt on it, and I was like, yeah, it's cool, but
yeah,
I prefer a direct drive turntable. Always have.
Yeah, you can't scratch with a direct drive.
No, they always said that direct drives too had the more wow and flutter can transmit through the plinth and the you know what? I've been using a direct drive since the 70s, and I hear none of that.
You can't get the wiki.
Right. Well, then you need a DJ. You need a DJ table. Yeah.
What's the model number on those, Lewis? Everybody used, what was it, a Technics?
Technique 1200.
1200. SL 1200.
One specific turntable that all the DJs I knew, they all had that same. Had the little
1200.
The table I'm using now is a new Audio Technica, and they literally just knocked off the 1200. The controls and everything.
What I always thought was cool is it had the little light. And the little right. Because that was you'd see the DJs up there and he'd have the thing and he's over there and he's got the needle on her and he's he's ready to hit the button and hit the fader and put it and that's when they were starting to do what's it, the beat or
wiki whack.
or when they were not scratching but they were beat mixing, I think they called it, or whatever, where they would start bringing in the other song slowly and try to match the beat, and then drop the old song out into the new one, and
right.
I miss those days.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I had a good time in the clubs and all in the '90s and all that, but it's like, God, that's.
I'm glad I made it through the '90s.
Yeah,
almost it was kind of shaky.
We used to drink about a 12-pack of Heineken and a half a bottle of Crown and then go out.
Yeah.
So like the guys, or like the one meme said, the ones we were drinking Jack and Coke, and the new guys are drinking White Claws. And it's like,
yeah.
No, it's not it. No thanks. No thanks. Well, I didn't mean to pop on here and take over the show.
Oh man, we love when you come.
Takes it a new direction.
Like I said, every week Lewis sends me the invite, and I'm looking at my schedule, and it's like I thought I was going to be able to pop on last week, but at the last minute because it was Friday was supposed to be clear, and then about 7:30, 8 o'clock they went, we've got a box that's already pulled. Got to go other side of the state. Can you do it? Okay. So
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning or 2:30, whatever. You know, so it is what it is.
Well, you can get it.
Yeah. For sure.
What's going on in your area, Justin?
Oh, it's another day of fun, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're staying busy.
I see you're posting a lot of videos. You're becoming a talking head.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we had a lot to post with the car breaking down. So
Yeah. What was wrong with it?
water pump went out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was literally going to a show, gonna meet up with some friends, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna stop at the shop and put some air in the tires and stuff like that. And look, just leaking right out. I'm like, come on. And of course, I had to pick a car that isn't like every other car, so you can't get parts overnight.
What car was that, Justin?
The Lincoln.
Oh, you're looking. Okay.
Didn't you have the intake off too?
I did. I felt ambitious. I'm like, well, I've got an intake leak and I've got a 4-barrel intake sitting there.
Yeah.
Coolant's already drained. I might as well.
Might as well. How'd the
Yeah.
motor look inside?
Terrible.
Terrible.
Absolutely terrible.
Really?
kind of muddy.
Yeah.
You couldn't put the intake back on fast enough, right?
I know
Yeah.
I couldn't.
And
I'm like,
after seeing how bad it was.
I'm like peeling the old one off, and I caught a glimpse of it real quick, and I'm like, oh no.
That's the
Like,
only
I don't-
smell
I
worse
won't
than
look.
warm 90 weight. Is that coked up oil? Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was ugly.
Nasty.
Yeah,
I figured-
all you had to do was get some easy off oven cleaner
Some tranny
and
fluid.
spray it down, put it back together, let it warm up, drain down, change the oil, you'd be good to go. Don't worry about it.
I figured I didn't make it any worse. That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah.
So what did you put on for a carburetor? Did you have like a 4100 laying around, or did
I've
you?
got a
Oh,
Edelbrock 650, I think. Edelbrock. To come off a project at the shop.
Yeah.
You get it back together?
Was that a
I-
460? Is that a 460 in that?
No, that's 351.
351.
Yeah, I got everything back together, but except the carb. I don't have the carb on it. I'll be doing that tomorrow.
Oh.
It's going to make it run a little better, huh?
All right.
Well, we
How
hope
was
so.
how was the transference for like with the linkage and vacuum lines and all? Did it all line up well?
Looks like it's all going to be just fine.
Good.
So what's kind of nice is I've been upgrading and kind of changing a few things. So, getting rid of some of the extra wires and sensors and goofy stuff. So,
Dealing with this
Simplify.
old, that was the other thing. I wanted to change the intake, take the torquer off, and I'm looking in the catalogs, Summit, and like a Performer intake was like close to $400. I was like, damn, I used to pay like $120 for these things, and their gap was like $600.
oh,
So I asked my buddy in the Olds Club. I said, "Hey, anybody got a used Performer?" He says, "Yeah, I got one." He goes, "The only thing is, I had the word Edelbrock and Performer ground off. He was 'cause I like to paint them engine color and make them look stock." So he sold it to us for $300. But as I'm bolting the thermostat housing on, 5/16 18 bolts, they were going down nice. One of them snug, the other one snug. Give them just another not even a quarter turn of a snug, and one of them got a little loose. And I was like, okay. Helicoil, I drilled them out to 3/8. I think I went 3/8 24 on both of them. Then I go to put the quadrajet on this thing, and the secondaries wouldn't open. And I'm looking, I had the intake's made for Holly. So, okay, we got to get the adapter plate. So we got one of those. So now you got to use all 8 holes on the carburetor flange because the plate mounts on the inner holes and the carburetor's on the outer. Of course, I chased all the inners, 5/16 18, they were fine. The outers, I could only get there was they weren't deep. There was some kind of epoxy or something in them. They were picking it out, and then I put it on the drill press and I start drilling, and I'm getting this epoxy out of it. I'm like, somebody epoxied these holes up. So I chased them with a 5/16 tap, Yeah, it wasn't good. Two of them grabbed, two didn't. I said, okay. I drilled them out and I helicoiled them. So 4 of them I helicoiled. And then I got the thing to mount. So I said, damn, now I'm booking my hours for the labor. I was like, for what we paid for that intake and the hours that I'm billing for fixing it, we could have bought a new intake.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and they're not cheap.
No.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I got lucky with mine. I can find 302 intakes all day long, but 351 intakes are hard to come by, especially dual planes. I can find a bunch of single planes, and I found one guy was down in Detroit and had one for $120, and I'm like, I'll be there tomorrow.
Wow, yeah.
Like, I'm coming to get
Yeah.
it.
There used to be a guy on eBay. He was Aluminum Man, I think is what his handle thing or his store was. And he used to have so many different and bizarre aluminum intakes. And they were halfway reasonable until whatever changed in the world of the moon and the SAR and our third planet, our second moon that now enter our atmosphere. His prices just went through the roof on all that stuff. But I kept saying, man, because he would have some rare stuff and it was fairly priced. And you got to, when you see it, you can't even think about it. You got to get it because you'll never find it.
Justin, you could have stuck with the single plane and done a sniper too.
One day.
One day.
That'll happen.
That you were right there.
I'm
Justin, if you need stuff like that, let me know. I got a buddy in Missouri who's got 3 containers full of intakes, carbs, heads, you name it.
That's a good guy to know.
Yeah,
Wow.
like I said, that's what he's supposed to be trying to find me some Mercury Lightning Bolt FE pent roof covers, but he had a set. He goes, these things are too beat up. I said, well, thanks for being honest. Instead of going, yeah, they're great, and shipping them out, and then I get them, and they're like,
Yeah.
I just saw a set. Was it on? I think it was on Marketplace. I saw a set of those. They looked rough.
I've got a piece or part of one that I was talking to a guy up in Connecticut who cut the center section out because the same thing. He had 2 or 3 pairs, and he butchered a couple pair to make one really nice pair. And I told him, I said, I'll take the embossed raised script where it says Mercury and it's got the lightning bolt and all that. So, and he showed it to me from where he cut it off. And I said, that's fine. And I gave him like $10, $15. But it's it's that Mercury with the lightning bolt and all that. And it's that raised script. And I said, yeah, push comes to shove, I'll find a way to emboss or weld those to a set of Steelies or something for a 460. And, we could do something creative with them.
Yeah.
Wasn't that on the valve cover also? Didn't they have that lightning bolt or that? I had a set. I know on one of the motors that I gotten for my Mustang, it was out of a Mercury, and I knew the valve covers. I know it said Mercury, and it had slash something, and I thought it was a lightning bolt or maybe it was a squiggly line. I don't know if I still have those up in my parents' attic.
I say these ones, they looked like pretty rough shape, and I think he wanted like $200 or $300 for them still.
Now those are what parts were those?
Valve covers.
That's what I thought you said. Valve covers, yeah. Well, yeah. If they're not available and they don't repro them, yeah, you can ask a high dollar for a crappy part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a set of Cobra, Shelby Cobra ones that was on one of my motors that I blew up when I was feeding nitrous through it with a straw, when the tank wouldn't stop with the nitrous. And the place that I did the motor, the guy, was sitting in a corner, and he said, you need to come get this by Friday or I'm going to throw it away. And I'm like, yeah, right. And of course, I go out there Monday and it's gone, And man, I was livid because those were Shelby valve covers.
Ah, cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty big.
Well,
That's
big.
big.
It had the lightning bolt or something would be On this one, it would have come off of this, because as it lays on the valve cover, it would have had the lightning, you know, it would have, it's mercury, and it had the bolt on the back of it. So
Yeah, I can't remember what it had. I'll have to look next time I'm over at Mom's. I'll have to go up in the attic and dig around because
Those are
I was going to chuck them, but I thought they were neat because of the way the label was. I mean, but that was on a small block. I mean, it was a 302, I think.
but those came factory on like a 410 FE, some of the Hypo 406s and stuff like that.
Maybe it just said Mercury. Maybe it just said Mercury and didn't have anything. I just knew that I had a set of valve covers. They were, and it had Mercury stamped in it.
Yeah,
A
that's
buddy
like
of mine told me I should put them on my car, and I was like, no, it didn't look right.
So Vince, check this out.
Yes, sir.
I haven't had my semis. Been 16 years, right? So I called the truck stop to see how much an oil change costs. I'm thinking, back then I paid $125 for oil change. He shoots out $400. I almost choked.
Whoa.
That's not bad.
I know. Well, now, but I'm used to paying $150 back in 50 years ago.
Okay, let's do some math, because I was just talking with Ray about this. The oil filter, the single oil filter for my ISX is $68.
Mhm.
I changed it over. I was running the T4 Rotella, the straight conventional. I changed it over to the T6 1540, the full synthetic. So that was, we'll add plus the two fuel filters, the primary, secondary fuel filter. I go ahead and change them when I change the oil. So those two filters added up to be, one was 35, it was like $58, I think, for those two. So we go 68 plus 58 for that. The two pails my ISX is 11 gallons, dead nuts. So 5-gallon pail of the T6 is $110 a pail at Walmart. So
Mine was 8 gallons.
68. And then that was 10 gallons, and then you had to add the other $27 for the single gallon to fill it up.
So you're at 3-something right there.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, what's going on?
And that was with me doing the labor. I did find out that Tractor Supply takes used oil.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I was just in there looking, and they had a big sign on one of the things that says, "We take used oil."
Yeah,
So-
up here, if a place sells it, they have to take it back.
So I found somebody. Well, Ray, my problem is I've got 11 gallons of used oil.
Right.
Most places are like 5 is it. So I asked him, I said, I just have a question, dealing with, machinery. Do you have a limit on what you can take? Because like most parts stores are like 5 gallons is it, dude. And I get it. I'm not trying to push my luck. If you'll take 5, thank you. I'll give you that and just, come back in a couple of days with some else. But they're like, no, we have no limit. So knock on wood, that day I changed the oil filters and all that, I just go, I don't live that far from the recycling center for the area. So I drain off the oil filters and the fuel filters, and then go take them and recycle them. And on the way home from changing that oil, I stopped at the Tractor Supply and dumped off the waste oil that I had and got rid of it that day. So,
Nice.
which was nice, because I can't tell you how many times through the years I've been like, man, don't move that. It's got a waste oil in it.
Yeah.
And that thing is,
It's crazy. What I used to do them all at one time. So I would do my F350, and that was a 6.0. That was 10. What was that? That was 10 quarts, 10 or 11. And then I had Jenny's Excursion, so that was another 11. And then I had the tool truck, which was 14 roughly. So then, of course, I'd change it all, get it all done, clean up, and then I'd go up to the recycling center, and they would have a sign up there, 5 gallon, your limit to to 5 quarts or 6 quarts. And as I'm dumping it in there, the guy's like, "Hey, that's like your 3rd bottle." And I'm like, "Dude, I got 2 more in the truck." I mean, I'm like, and he goes, "Why?" I said, "Well, the truck I'm driving takes 12 or 11, and I got my wife's got the same thing, and my work truck, and they would give me a hard time because I was always over the limits of how much going in."
It's good to know about Tractor Supply, though. That's where I'll go.
Well, like I said, that down here, and I believe when I went out, because I showed up and I was like, "Hi, I wanted, drop some used oil off. Who do I talk to or whatever?" And they're like, "Hang on." So they called the manager or whatever, and they said, "Oh, it's around back. Just somebody will meet you." It's okay. That's fine. I just didn't want to just show up, start dumping oil in there. And I had my receipts from where I had been buying crap from there in there anyway. So it's like, if they question me, it's like, "Yeah, I bought, the red antifreeze and all that for the trucks." And so it's like, I'm buying stuff from here. I'm not just dumping used oil. But I was talking to the girl while I'm struggling to get that big, because I've got one of the big, Lewis, the one I'm talking about, the big one for under the trucks, the big plastic
the oil thing, yeah.
I mean, you can put like 11 gallons in it, and it's maybe just over half full. So here I am trying to struggle this by myself, because she's sitting there going, "That thing looks dirty." And I went, "Oh yeah, it is." So, I get it up there and get it poured in there. And I was like, "Thank you very much for taking that." She's like, "I think you're the first person that's ever used this." And I'm like, "Now that I know it's here, thank you very much."
Yeah.
But,
I'm going to check mine.
These valve covers aren't too bad, Justin.
Listen, not terrible.
They're not too bad.
It's funny we were talking about it. That's the first time I had seen them was on Facebook Marketplace there.
They're not bad.
The lightning bolt's on the bottom.
Well, they need a trip to the bead blaster and some rust dissolve.
Right.
Yeah, they could probably be saved as long as there's a hole.
They're not. I mean, it's not like, somebody took a ball peen hammer to beat the shit out of it to put, some stupid carburetor setup on it or headers.
Right.
Or do like I did with a set of Shelby valve covers, because my cam lift was so high and I didn't use spacers, and the top of the rollers were bouncing off the valve covers. So what did? I cut out the PCV valve or the vent thing inside of it so that it gave me a little extra clearance, That was like hogging the shit out of this stuff.
Hogging it.
Luckily back then all that stuff laid around and nobody wanted this stuff, and now everybody wants $1 million for it.
I've been looking at some small block Ford valve covers online, and there's a few of them like, these look cool, but they want a good pretty penny for them.
Yeah,
I gotta be careful. I can't go too tall on my valve covers anyway. Or start running into the wiper motor.
Oh, well, that's why you have a ball peen hammer.
You're right.
A nice old set of Cal Customs, or I'm a big fan of that stuff, the 70s era. I mean, I run them on my own car. Cal Customs that I bought in 75. I got the rear end covered in match. I love that look,
Yeah.
It's so vintage.
I was always defend Mickey Thompson. I had to defend aluminum Mickey Thompsons on everything I own.
And I have a set for the Pontiac. I was gonna put them on, but I said since I had these Cals forever and I bought them new, I got to use them. I did get a set of MTs for the big block Chevy. That was on my bucket list, and I paid for them at a swap meet. Like, guys just weren't taking 10 cents off.
That's what I wanted to get a set for that Gremlin that we're building. Was a set of Finn Mickey Thompsons.
Yeah.
But the customers end up going with they're still like the black with the fins on them, but they got a Gremlin logo in them.
Okay, that's cool.
Valve cover or
it's funny. I read a lot of these old magazines. I'm still reading all these old magazines. See if I got a cover one here somewhere. And they're all from the 60s and 70s, and you see the ads for those valve covers, and they were like $29.
Yeah,
oh, man. Yeah, now like a couple $100 at a swap meet. But
if you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Yeah, you find
it. Ray.
Hot Rod Cartoons. Oh, that's cool. That's an oldie. Yeah.
That's coming this is coming to you too. This is part of my other little box of stuff I need to send you.
I should start sending you stuff. I gotta clean out my collection. Got too much stuff.
My little the GTOs, Hot Wheels, and stuff I have for you.
Oh God.
Like I said, it's stuff that I have just acquired. I'd see it and it's like, oh, that's cool. And then now you've got the GTOs, and
Yeah.
so
Oh man.
send it to a good home, just like the what was it, the Wheels Through Time. I did send that shirt and everything to you, didn't I?
Wheels Through Time.
The motorcycle place in Maggie Valley.
I do not recall. It must have been a while ago.
Yeah, it was my honeymoon that we went through there. So, because I called you and asked you what size shirt you wear,
Oh well, then I guess you did. Yeah.
because I'm a 2X all day, and you said you were a large, I believe.
Yeah. Now I'm going towards the XLs because they tend to deprint better.
Yeah, I
A
don't
lot-
want to print too much.
Yeah, nice and blousy, you know.
I carry a full size, but I don't carry inside the waist, so it covers up.
No, I go out too, and I tell you, like I was telling my buddy at the shop who got his deal, I said, just wait till you're out and you got to go to the bathroom. I said, now you got to like put your phone somewhere, you got to put the gun somewhere. It's like, and they don't give you shelves, you know, to put
No.
this, you know. It's like,
And you know what I learned? Those toilet paper rolls, like at a restaurant or a place, they got a tilt to it. They're not
Yeah.
flat. So you're gonna slide off.
yeah, I've seen that. I've
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that. Yeah. I actually had to lay it on the toilet in front of the flush valve. It was the only flat spot in the stall. And as soon as I put it down, like my hand hit the automatic flusher. I'm like, oh shit. Put a shelf in here.
You're
I
like a
should have just
woman
hung
with
it.
a
I
purse.
should have
You
just
gotta-
hung it on
you
the
gotta
hook, you know? Just hang it
Yeah,
by
well,
the
like a woman with a purse, you got to reorganize everything.
Yeah, exactly. Then you got to get redressed and get it all back in. And like, oh man, but whatever.
This is gonna bug me because I sent that thing to you, Lewis, and now I can't remember where the hell I sent it.
Yeah, I don't know where. I didn't see it anywhere.
It was those new cool style. It's a Kenworth wheel, and they're like I said, they're not just like the round out standard old school Alcoas. They've got a design to them and all that. And I was like, this is what would look really cool on his coach. And I swear, as God is my witness, I sent it to you. I just don't remember if I IM'd it to you on Messenger or
I'll pop around.
Facebook, tagged you with it or something. I'm just like,
Yeah, I'll check it out. Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
You awake? Hey, I've been
Yeah.
seeing a lot of those RC semi trucks, all customized.
Oh yeah, God.
Oh my goodness, they got to be paying big bucks for those, man. They got the
Yeah,
stretch
they
frame,
definitely are.
stretch
Yeah,
frame.
they got there's several different versions of the trucks.
Yeah,
And they're big dollars. Even like the big Tamiya, the big company is named Tamiya, and they have all of that stuff. I've seen videos of radio control construction equipment
yeah.
where these
Wow.
guys they set up a construction site, and these guys are using the radio control stuff to do all the construction work.
Yeah. What's the name of the thing?
Tamiya. They have a couple. They have trucks. They have tanks. The tanks are really cool because they come with the sound effects, the whole bit.
See, I've been looking for a bus. I found a couple buses, but they make them like toys. They're not like those true semis. You know what I mean?
Oh well, if you look, I don't know if anybody actually makes a bus.
Yeah. Well, the ones I did find, they were like kid toys. They wasn't like the actual true bodies. You know what I mean? Like the front ends were
Yeah,
like
yeah.
weird.
I don't know. I've never actually seen a bus. I've seen guys take the toy stuff. They'll take the body off it and then put it on one of the RC chassis.
I had to do some
No, no,
fabricating.
yeah. And these
Some of
guys
those
are
guys,
crazy.
man, those trucks are nice.
This stuff's good. I mean, they get the lights on it. They got sound. They got horns. All that stuff.
Tilt hoods, power hoods.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah. Tilt
Yeah, you
everything
gotta-
like I have seen a dump truck with the bed, and the bed works remotely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you put in custom RC trucks and YouTube, you get a whole bunch of videos. And they got one video that has, it must be a show that they were having, but they had all kind of roads, and they got trucks passing each other, and they got forklifts loading trucks,
Wow.
Yep.
dump trucks dumping. It's pretty slick. Yeah.
Well, I saw a video the other day. They were at one of the John Deere testing centers, or one of the information shows that they had, and they had 2 or 3 different. One had like a planter on it, one had a ripper and all that behind it, and it was out there in the field running. There's nobody in it. And I'm not talking a RC. We're talking a full size 74, 35, whatever John Deere tractor pulling a 18 pin ripper and running the fields, and they're like, nobody in it. And there's a couple guys standing off to the side with the controllers and are watching all of this stuff going on. And it's like, it's got the John Deere system where it's mapped out the field, and they programmed in the thing how they want it to, go up so far, do the, so that way they can run the in rows and all that. And it's just sitting there and it's just running its pattern. I mean, craziest thing in the world to watch. This thing's cruising right along, and all of a sudden you see it slow down. The rippers on the tines come up, and it does its circle back right in the same spot down, and it's just like, and they're like, and one of the guys that was commenting on it is he goes it's unnatural for me. He goes, because I'm so used to being in the tractors, even running running that same kind of program where once it learns the field and you set your parameters on how you want it done, you pretty much just point, shoot, or get it there and hit go, and I mean, it takes off, it throttles up, it does everything. It's all programmed, speeds, weights on your closing wheels and everything. I mean, it's down to the sign. Everything you put in there, it automatically just starts doing, just like somebody sitting in there.
Have you seen the prices of those things?
I tell you what, I love the farmers to death. My grandfather was a farmer as well as a fleet owner, trucking company owner and all that. And it's crazy. That's, if you've seen, who was it? I was, one of my buddies, I was asking him if they had seen Clarkson's farm being, because, once they've kind of decided a couple years back, I guess, that they were going to start closing the Grand Tour and all that stuff with the 3 guys from, the Grand Tour and all that. Yeah. So Jeremy Clarkson owned like 1,000-acre farm in the UK, and he's like, and if you watch it, he goes into it, and he tells how he bought the farm, and he liked to come out to the farm and relax instead of being in London and all that. And you could just, and he says, like, he goes through and he goes, the man that when I bought the farm ran, stayed on and ran the farm for the next 2 or 3 years. And then finally he goes, you know what? I've done this for 40 years. I'm going to retire. So he's like, well, I'll just run it then. So he gets the rude awakening of what it's entailed in buying thousands of pounds of seed and fertilizer and this, and we can't plant because it's too wet. And then it's, and then they had the first season that they filmed it, they were fighting to get it in the ground because it was so wet. And then once it got dry, then they had like basically no more rain till the end of the year. So they're like, we're so wet we couldn't plant. Now we were so dry that half the crops didn't come to mature and all that. And it really puts a light on just how hit and miss actually farming is. It's like, it's not you just go out and plant and put this in and boom, it everything grows. It's like
science.
He was, he's walking out in this one field and he's got an agronomist is with him. And he's just like, this field is dead. And he goes, what? He goes, we planted and we cultivated and we fertilized. And he goes, like a boll weevil or some bug. He goes, the field's infested with this insect. And he goes, this whole 250-acre plot, he goes, junk. No, can't harvest anything off of it. They've destroyed the crops, and all of it. Basically, what you're going to do is try to till under whatever is there, clean it up a little bit, and then maybe run it fallow or swap crops. He goes, but this whole 250 acre field, junk. And he's just standing there, just dumbfounded. And he goes, it's what it is.
Yeah.
And he goes, I can't believe it. He goes, and so they walk over and they start pulling it up. And he goes, it's all, and he goes, this is rubbish. And, and he goes, like I said, we've hit all the different test spots. And he goes, field's junk. He said, the insects got in there and they destroyed it. And he goes, it might look okay in spots. He goes, the whole field is dead. It's a write-off. And then they go through that with the trying to, what are we going to plant here, and what crops, what can we potentially earn versus what it's going to cost us. And that's provided that we have enough rain and we have enough moisture, and it really puts a light on, the headaches and heartbreaks of farming.
And that's before you get to the regulations.
That's it.
Government will tell you.
And if they think that the regulations in this country are bad as far as farming, oh, good Lord. I mean, it was so bad that the British government, the UK was doing subsidies for the farmers. And then like about into the second or third season, they're like, the subsidies are over. They're like, we can't afford subsidies. So these are going away, and this is going away, and this is going away. And so a lot of them are going, well, that's kind of how we made up the stopgap. Or if like I said, half the crops that we planted and fertilized and bought seed and this and that and all the diesel fuel to all of the expenses, and just it's zero. We earned zero out of the $100,000 of seed, diesel, everything to do it. And he goes, we got nothing in return. And then oh man, that made my head hurt when they started talking about all of the you can't do this because it's this, the ground weevils and the bowls and just on about all of these regulations, and you can't just spray the pesticide because they found that this is the pesticide that'll kill them is on the ban list, so you can't spray the pesticide that'll kill them. And I mean, he's just sitting there going, this makes no sense. And all of the other farmers are going, yeah, welcome to our world. We've been complaining about this for years and years, that some of these regulations, we understand what they're for, but there's no common sense in it. It's like, if this pesticide doesn't hurt the land, doesn't hurt the crop, but it will kill the invasive species, it's destroying the crops. Oh, it's got to be studied first. Yep. And it's like I said, it'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry if you're a farmer just going, Jesus, Pete.
Real. What truck are you running, Vince?
Well, right now I still have my my 06 Century Class Freightliner with the 14-liter. That one's parked right now, and my daily ride is an 05 9400i Eagle International with the ISX in it.
Okay.
So
I missed my Freightliner.
It's that.
Hey guys, time for me to bail. Gotta get up early tomorrow.
Jim, good to see you.
Take care, guys.
Have a good week.
I was thinking a minute ago, the reason I maybe can't find that ad is if that guy sold those. If they did sell and he pulled the ad,
yeah, might have.
Because I was like, I know I sent this to Lewis when I
saw him.
And it's just like they're gone. That's gone. It's not on the. It's not in the on like your page, like I logged you on it, or the IM or any of that. So I'm thinking the guy might have sold them.
They were only like 2,500.
Yeah, and it was a full set of the brand new aluminums. Wow. And they're, like I said, I'll send you a picture of them because they're a very unique pattern, and they're off a brand new Kenworth.
Yeah, those were like they were 22 by 5, or they.
I saw them and I said, oh, these would look cool on the coach. So I just kind of shot the link to Lewis, or flagged it and tagged your name in it. And like I said, now all of a sudden I can't find them. So
Yeah, they probably
That's
sold.
what I'm thinking has happened is they might have sold and the guy pulled them down.
There's a place here in Canton, Ohio, that he has a lot of rims. I might take a ride down there one day and see what I can
Yeah,
find.
there's a place a couple hours away from me that sells a lot of big truck stuff, and that's if I can't find it, that's my usually go to is he's just south of Atlanta on 675. What's the name of his place? I can't think of his name, but it's the same thing. They sell trucks, they salvage them. You go in the warehouse, he's got stacks of motors and transmissions and rear ends and power dividers and all that stuff. He's just got racks and racks and racks of that stuff, as well as doors and hoods and bumpers and all that stuff. He's
Sometime next year, I think I'm going to switch the rear end on this, put lower gears in.
what's it got, like a 6 something in it now?
I think so, because when I'm at 65, I'm doing 30,000.
Yeah, I run standard 11R22.5s on my trucks, and the International has got 390s in it, and it's 60. I should notice because I was just driving the truck today. 60 with the 390s is about. Of course, it's a 10-speed Eaton Fuller metric in that one. 60, just around 1470, 1480, somewhere around there.
Oh, that's great.
You don't have overdrive in it, Lewis?
No. Nope.
Is
You
it a
don't have
5 speed?
overdrive?
Is it a
No,
5 speed or 6 speed, Allison?
Four-speed Allison.
Do you know the series number? Is it a 3000 or 2000 or?
6. It's a what is it?
The reason I say is because one of those Allison automatics,
You can
it
program.
had another gear in it. It's just whether it was, I
I
forget
don't
what
think mine. I have a 93. So I mean a 03, but I don't think it has that transmission.
my RV has got the 3000 series, I think, and it is a 6-speed. And the one behind I'll have to look because, like I said, I know the one in my RV because it's a diesel pusher, and it's got the 5.9 Cummins in it, so it's got 6 speed in it.
Hold on, I think I might have it in my phone. It's 640 something, 644. I think I don't know. Yeah, I might have put it in my notes.
At 1400 RPM, still better than that Corvair I drove today.
Yeah, right.
70 mile an hour was 3,900 RPM.
Woo-wee.
Screaming.
Just saying it.
Yeah, that
You're just getting the oil lubrication going.
Yep.
Yeah, you were just getting it lubricated. Don't worry.
Yes, it didn't need that. Needed a couple extra gears, I can tell you that much.
Of course, when you look for it, you can't find it. But
Richard Carnes is the name of that shop out of Atlanta, and they ship Richard Carnes truck parts, truck salvage, and they ship.
Okay.
So, and like I said, I know at one time he had probably about a 20 by 20 building, at least. It was full of nothing but wheels. I mean, he had them racked, and they were just every. I mean, there was nothing in there but racks and stacks of rims.
wow.
I mean, he had
I
the.
have an Allison MT 643.
Oh, it's okay. The Allison. I'll have to check on that one. Which one has got the?
I think you're right. The 300 series, which came in buses older than mine. So kind of confused why they would switch back to this one.
Yeah, some of that doesn't make sense of why you would have seemingly went backwards and not
Right.
put an overdrive or something in it and
Right.
and all that. So
Now I know some of the buses for activities, they're made for the freeway, so they have the lower gears, like the football team buses and
Right,
band
yeah.
buses. Yeah, but I couldn't get that lucky.
yeah, I remember I found that one channel, the quote bus grease monkey, kind of on accident. And that's kind of what he does is he specializes. He's got like a 47 or a 40, what is it, a 1947 GM bus, and it's got the 6V or not a V. He's got the straight 671 Detroit in them, and he had bought this bus. A couple friends had the buses with the Detroits and stuff in them, and he got tired of taking it to a shop and paying through the nose and then it not really getting serviced like he expected. So he went and bunked this and started buying the sold service manuals and everything he could find and learning how to do it himself.
Hmm.
But now that's what him and actually even his son does the same thing. It's and that's what their kind of specialty is the two-stroke Detroits.
Oh yeah, that
So
thing got to run, man. 2-stroke.
oh yeah, it's those things. Well, that's what was in what was the Blastoline? What was it? One of the first Blastoline specials they did, the Pissed Off Pete.
Yeah,
Jay Leno has. It's got like a 6V or a was it a 6? No, I think it had the 12-cylinder in it because that's why they had the 12V71 in it, Detroit. And like I said, and that's why they call that truck the Pissed Off Pete, because you could sit there and run that thing about half throttle and then all the way, and that thing sounds like it is just screaming. And they're like, that's 2,500 RPM. It sounds like it's going to kick the rods out of it. And it's like, that's 2,500 RPM.
that was funny.
But if you look up, like I said, Jay Leno owns that truck now.
Yeah.
And it's called Pissed Off Pete. It was built by the Blastoline brothers. And it's really cool. I mean, that's, and then they did the one with the big tank engine and all that. And I bought that one too. And all of his, I forget what he called them, not supercars, because they were all huge, just 12, 16, 24 cylinder diesels and stuff like that. So
A lot of variables.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I jumped on the freeway, man, and I'm doing 55 all the way. I'm like, this sucks. Can't be drive 55.
Yeah, that thing, like I said, I bet that bus might have like a 657 or something in it. It's probably got a six range.
Yep.
I know my first truck I owned had 433s in it. And even with a Rockwell RMX double overdrive, 65 was screaming. I mean, it was running about all that little, that had the L10 Cummins in it, the little 330 horse Cummins in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an old converted JB Hunt truck. Somebody had pulled the sleeper off and put the back plate on it and converted it over to a day cab. But that little truck would just, like I said, it was only 330 horse. So knock on wood, all I ever did to that truck, 5 years of running that truck day in and day out, I put one fuel injector in it, brakes, tires, maintenance, oil changes, the basic maintenance.
Yeah.
I put one fuel injector in that truck in the 5 years that I worked it day in and day out.
All right. Got your money.
Oh yeah, like I told him, I said, that truck don't owe me a thing. That truck don't owe me one thing. It's every nickel I ever paid for it or put into it. What was that? Do you know about that? Oh, there's a place they've got their truck parts, and they've got a location in Ohio and then a location in Chicago.
No.
And they do, because I was trying to find a 14-liter, because the red truck, the Century has got, it's got over 1 million miles on it. And that's kind of the reason I parked it, is the oil consumption on a day-to-day running around was about a gallon a day. And the driver's like, we could just keep putting oil in it. I said, no, not at a gallon of oil a day. No, that's well past mechanical wear limits.
Was the turbo wasn't sucking it?
Well, that's the big bugaboo with this, Brian, is I don't know if it's the air compressor, because an air compressor take a dump, same thing. It'll suck the oil out the pan. A turbo will do the same thing. A couple other things.
Usually if you're sucking that much oil, you'll have runaway. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the turbo will have a boost. On my old tool truck, I had that every once in a while. You'd be putting the pedal to the metal, and all of a sudden you'd be cruising along, and all of a sudden you got like a tailwind. The truck would pick up a little bit, and you're like, "Oh, I'm starting to suck some oil here." Someone, because it would burn that oil, and the turbo seals on the Isuzus, the turbo seals would go out, and it would just suck the oil. I mean, and it would just have a runaway. Yeah,
this truck. In fact, that truck has a worked turbo on it. I bought it from a guy in Atlanta who I won't run anybody's turbos, but it's ITS turbo service, and this one has got the machined inlets where they take the inlet snail, and then they machine everything smooth so that it's a nice curved radius instead of just a straight nose. Billet impellers and a hardened, the billet shaft. You breathe on the pedal in 9th or 10th gear, and it's just no downshift, just breathe on the pedal, and the thing just takes off. It's like, God, this thing runs good, and that's why all of the.
I just wish I was like you and had no emissions.
Yeah.
Well, and
because I soaked my EGR and cooler out, and I couldn't believe I can't believe how much better it runs. But man, I tell you, that emission stuff on this stuff is just for the birds.
Oh yeah, well there's a guy out of Atlanta that with the same thing. He was a engineer, and he retired. He was like both a mechanical and electrical engineer, kind of like Ray. And he just kind of retired and started driving a truck. And the same thing, he would take the truck to the shop, and they would do stuff and charge him this big fat bill. And he's like, show me what you did. And they're like, this, and that. And he goes, for this? So he started, being analytical mind. He started learning, researching. And then he figured out you can go in there and service some of this stuff. So that's what he started advocating, like for the ISXs, like once a year to do an EGR tune-up, where you go through and you clean out these pipes that get sooted up and sensors that are the same thing. They start reading wonky because they're full of soot, and they don't, they can't read properly, and doser valves that get plugged up. And
well, it was funny because I was going through YouTube and I ran across this one guy, and that's what got me on this track, because he was like, if you have, because that's my biggest problem with my truck. Some days, I mean, I might as well, some days it's like, it doesn't want to run. And then other days I'm like, trying out for Tokyo Drift on Fast and Furious. I mean, there's just, night and day difference in the way the truck runs. And this guy said something. He says, if you have a lot of inconsistencies in the truck, he said, check your EGR cooler or check your EGR valve. And, it wasn't too bad pulling it off. And I was like, well, it's 100,000 miles. And of course, the biggest problem that I have, the truck runs all day. I mean, I only drive 150 miles a week if I take the long way home. You know what I'm saying? But it's just all idle time.
And that, unfortunately, is where most of the soot's made.
Yep.
Yeah, and those things, especially on the Isuzus, they run a little dirty at idle.
You got to do the Italian tune-up between stops.
Well, I want to tell you something. I did that. That's what I first did. I got my 2-liter Coke bottle, and there's a vacuum port, and I filled it up and held up the IV, and I steamed it. And man, I tell you, it left a hell of a spot on the driveway where the shit was coming out of.
I bet.
And I decided, back in the old days on the 911s and so forth, we used to use oven cleaner, easy off oven cleaner, clean out the EGR ports. You spray it down there and let it soak, and it would just, dissolve the stuff. Best thing in the world to do. And so I pulled it off. The only thing that I'm afraid of, or the only thing that I had to watch, I don't have a scanner. So once you get in there and I don't have a scanner for heavy duty, and you get in there and have a problem, I don't have software to resolve a problem if I create a problem. So
hard codes.
I know a Matco guy that might have that scanner.
Yeah, well, that Matco guy, every time I buy a scanner for me to use and it's on the truck, somebody says, hey, does that do heavy duty? And because I try to feed my family, I sell it. So that's why I don't have a scanner, or I can't keep a scanner on the truck. So, and of course, when I decide to do this stuff is when I need the scanner.
Yeah.
2-for-1 sale. It's crazy, Brian.
Well, even when it's $5,000 for me to have something sit around, I use once in a blue moon. I don't have the money like you guys sitting around. Haven't hit the lotto yet.
See, you got to do the 2-for-1. They pay for 2, they get 1. You get the other one.
Right.
All right. So Vince, it's a 4-speed. I just looked it up.
Is it
4-speed? But I'm not seeing anything. It's not electronic, I don't think, at all.
Yeah, it's. I'll have. Like I said, I know there's one of those Allisons. Because I wasn't sure about it, and then I was watching that one, the Boss Garage, where he took an F350 and pulled the 7.3 IDI out of it and put a 3126 CAT in it with a whatever the appropriate 6-speed Allison trans,
Right.
Same thing out of a bus. It came out of an older model bus, and because that's comparable, because we got to checking at that the other day. We were looking at some stuff, and like what my RV's got in it is a 5.9 4-valve HO, because it's 300 horse with the 6-speed, and then if you updated or you got the 350 horse model that had the 3126 CAT in it, and again the same speed. The three, I think it's the 3000 series. I've got all the manuals and everything for it. I got to go by there and look, put a mirror on the RV tomorrow, so I'll look and see what series transmission that is, because it's the 6000. It's got the 6-speed in it, and I know it doesn't shift into overdrive till you're, honest to God, running 55, 60 miles an hour before it actually shifts into that last gear. And that thing is 32 foot long and it's 11 foot tall, and I get 9 miles to the gallon on the interstate running 65, 66.
That ain't bad.
No, that's. I mean, I'm used to not. I'm not one of these guys that got. I got to run 80 miles an hour everywhere I go. Why? It's like I said. It's got the drag coefficient of a loaf of bread. It's not going to get good mileage. So 9, I'll take.
Good.
I'll take all day long.
I get 7. I get 7 on mine, but mine's all idle. I mean, like I said, I'm surprised. And that's even better. My old truck got a little better. My old truck almost got 10.
Do you run any additives in your fuel?
Do I? Yeah.
Which ones?
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it. It was that
Diesel Extreme.
Yeah, that Extreme.
That stuff where I can tell you what I had an issue with mine. With, like I said, that 15-liter Cummins in my truck. It's the same thing. It's that direct. It's oil injected on all of that stuff, and for the injection and all. And my truck was running like crap.
Yeah.
And I had a buddy put a scanner on it, and he started doing cylinder drop-off tests. And he goes, man, you got like 3 injectors that are barely responding.
Yeah.
So I started pricing injectors for that ISX. At the time, they were about $908 a piece. And I'm like, Jesus, he's telling me I need 3 injectors. So I started looking at it, and I had seen a couple different programs on this, that, and the other. And they were talking about that. What is it? The Hot Shot Secret.
Yeah, the Hot Shot Secret.
So I started pricing it, and I was like, well, damn, it's 44 quarts. So I start doing the math, and I'm like, good God, I had to buy like $150, almost $200 worth of chemicals to treat this thing. I'm like, you know what? If that
I got
works,
some. I use some German stuff, and I thought I had a can down here. The German stuff works really good. Actually, they have it in liquid and they have it in a spray. That's what I spray on the DEF filter and clean out. It cleans out catalytic converters and DEF filters. The German stuff is really good. And I just got the other day I went in and they had it was from Restore. It was some diesel additive. I'll have to take a picture of it. And I want to tell you something. That was probably the fastest working stuff I've ever put in. I could tell a difference running 1 can through the truck right away.
I'll have to look. I know that
it was Restore something. I'll have to take a picture. I'll post it.
Okay.
When I first did that Hot Shot Extreme, I did the fuel and the oil, added it to the oil and all that. And within a week, my truck was running smoother than it had ever run.
Yeah,
you could hear the turbo pick up immediately. I said, thank God, because I couldn't afford 3 injectors at basically.
Yeah, the secret stuff is incredible. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I just couldn't. I had gone. I don't know. A couple of weeks ago, I was having a lot of issues with the truck, and actually, I had it would go into derate. It would go into the check engine. It would drop off, and top speed was like 30 miles an hour, and I would reset it and would come right back. And I went in, and somebody had told me, use this stuff if you could find it. And I was like, dude, that Hot Shot works pretty good. I mean, I said, I think I really have a problem. And I was at like half a tank of fuel, a little less than half. And I poured the whole bottle in. And by the time I got home, I was about 15 minutes away from the house. By the time I got home, there was no more check engine, no more derate, and the truck was running. And it was like the fastest stuff I've ever used before.
I know with my truck right now, it seems to like the Howes diesel. What is it? The Howes Diesel Extreme. I can put that in and put fuel in it, and by the time I get about a mile down the road, the truck is, like you said, it's like you found another gear. It just runs so much better immediately. Now,
when I got home, I was like, man, I can't believe how well it's running. So I grabbed the German stuff, the foam, the cleaning stuff, and went down and I made a port, or I made a port so that I could spray in on the DEF filter, and I soaked it down, and the shit that was coming out of it was like incredible. And knock on wood, I haven't had any more issue. And then of course it got kind of wonky for a minute, and then that's when I did the EGR. And I'm going to pull the second cooler off, but that one's down by the turbo, and I'm really afraid. I don't want to break a bolt or mess up, because unfortunately, the only thing I had to drive is the tool truck, since I don't have anything at all to drive. So I got to keep the truck running.
Yeah.
Essentially,
How often
guys,
do you run the additive?
Huh?
How often do you use the additive?
Well, this because of the incidents that I had, I ran the additive every tank that I put in, but usually it was about every they say every 5,000. It would take me forever to get to 5,000 miles just because I only do 150 miles a week. So I usually about every fourth fill up, I run 8 ounces or whatever through it at a time. Of course, I only have a 25-gallon tank. So actually, 25 gallons. So I run usually about 8 ounces through it about every fourth tank.
You know, Lewis, it's weird how different engines like different things. That ISX loves that Howes Diesel Extreme, that Detroit in the Freightliner, Marvel's Mystery Oil.
Yes,
I take a quart and put, because that truck's got 100-gallon tanks on it. When I add it, I throw a quart in each tank and then run the diesel in it, and that thing it loves, and it runs so smooth with that Marvel's Mystery Oil in it.
Yep.
That, like I said, that ISX likes that diesel tree. I mean diesel tree.
The old Isuzu, my old tool truck, I used to run Marvel Mystery Oil through it. I ran a lot. I mean, that was different, but those were different injectors. This whole electronic stuff on the newer stuff, because it's fighting the whole time. The whole time it's switching back and forth because it's trying to run at a certain temperature, and the idle's kicking back and forth the whole fucking time trying to run at this temperature.
That's what I was fixing to ask you. When you sit there in idling, you pull up to Johnny's shop here, and everybody's like, "Hey, I gotta go pay Brian." And is there a provision where you can bump your idle up, or is it just
sometimes I do, but it burns so much fuel, man. When I crank it up, when I hit the, it's basically like a PTO, but it's very similar to a PTO, and it does have 3 steps where it kicks the idle up, because technically, like if you're using a lift gate and you got a heavy load or whatever, you want to kick it up,
hydraulics and electronics,
the hydraulics and so forth. But I'll kick it up sometimes, especially if I'm running the AC. I'll have it kicked up, but sometimes I just get out and forget to do it, and but you'll hear the truck fighting itself because it's trying to maintain a temperature, and that, like I said, it'll kick back and forth. That
sounds. I mean, how do I say this? That sounds very weird to me. That how big is the motor in this thing?
It's a 5
liter, something like that.
Huh?
Oh, it's like a 4 or 5 liter Detroit.
Yeah, it's a 5.8 or something like that. It's a 4-cylinder thing. Big.
I mean, even with my 15 liter, if because I watch this truck being a double overhead cam, I watch my oil pressure when I'm at idle, and and some of the earlier ISXs are bad about having like 20 pounds of oil pressure at idle, hot. Well, if you're sitting there and it's barely, at 20 pounds of oil pressure, it's barely putting oil up into the top of the motor. So I will, I'll bump it up to about 750 or whatever, just to get it to where the oil pressure climbs up, where it's actually feeding oil, so it doesn't just burn the 4,000.
It's like a 5.4. Yeah. I think it's a 5.4. I don't know. It's a big, like I said, big ass coffee can fucking rattle ball.
Oh yeah, it's got pistons in it about like that,
Yeah.
But if that thing doesn't seem right to me about just bumping the idle up, and the thing's just a noticeable difference in fuel usage.
Oh, dude, it drinks. I mean, those things run so dirty at idle, or at that time. But when you bump it up, I mean, especially if you got the AC going, dude, you're watching the fuel gauge move.
Yeah, it's low because you're loading and offloading, and as the as the AC's kicking on and all that. And yeah, I mean, I can see that, especially if it's got an inverter or something on there and it's working and trying to keep everything happy. But I don't know. To me, that doesn't sound kosher, that it gets so thirsty just bumping the idle up. I mean, I'm not saying, you get what I'm saying? That just, to me, it doesn't make sense. Because, I mean, you were talking 14 liters in this truck and 15-liter trucks in this, and just, bumping the RPMs up a little bit to compensate for stuff like that. Just, I see no real difference in fuel usage.
Yeah,
but
it's a big difference.
I wonder why. You know what I mean? That's my question is, why is a couple hundred RPM, like kicking into another gear where to fill with fuel consumption?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's terrible.
Even
my old Isuzu was the same way. I mean, but I never really worried about it too much with the old truck because it didn't have all the emission stuff on it, and I didn't give a rat's ass how dirty it ran. I mean,
well, I used to deal with some guys that used to run the offshore fishing boats, and it was the same thing. They, because they run 40, 50 miles out, and then they start throwing lines and all that, and they're trolling around, and they're just, you got the big diesels out there, and they're just idling around, and everybody's fishing and all that, and they're just, putzing around, and they would start, head back in, and they're like, man, these things are basically so carboned up, so from just sitting there idling around for 4 or 5 hours while everybody's out there fishing. And one of the guys told him, he says, dude, get you like a gallon of that Seafoam at least. And he says, when you guys come back in, he says, dump a couple gallons of that Seafoam in there. And he says, Katie barred the door. And that guy came back smiling from ear to ear. He says, man, that thing picked up and cleaned up in the fuel. He says, so now that's standard practice for that one group out there.
Yeah.
They idle around. And when they come back, they dump the Seafoam to it and they just let it eat, coming back 40, 50 miles coming back in. And he goes, man, it cleans them up most of the time. Again, every now and then you're going to have an injector that'll do this and do that. And the chemicals are just not going to work. That's what happened with my RV. I had some trash get into an injector and it screwed that injector up. And there wasn't no chemical in the world going to fix a stuck piddle valve in the injector body with crap in it. So,
yeah.
But, Ray, you all right over there?
Yeah, just listen to the Big Rig Show here tonight.
Yeah, well, I have on the old truck. I had an injector cleaner, and I had the handheld pump, and they had the needle valve, and you could do that and clean that stuff out. And that was really, I mean, of course, that goes back to the old days with CIS, on the German cars, pumping, cleaning out the injectors. And you get the shit all in them and clean them out. If you had an ultrasound machine, all you gotta do is if you pull that pintle out a little bit and put a wire in there to keep it open, and then stick it in the ultrasound machine and let it soak for a while, it'd clean it out. But the problem is once they get worn or wear out, that if that pintle thing doesn't seat right, it's done. I mean, it is done.
Yeah, they have gotten so computer controlled and so computer crazy on all these new trucks. I mean, like that. What is it? The X15? I thought a turbo for my truck was expensive at like $2,200-$2,300. These X15s, they start at like $6,000. They start depending on which model it is, and that's if you need the actuator. That's another $2,000 or $3,000 for the actuator. If you just need the turbo, and it's like, good God, man, how?
I was told I needed a turbo a couple months ago, and I told the guy, I said, I don't think so, dude. I can still hear it whistle up. I still feel pressure. And he's like, oh, but you need to. And so I went and looked, and it was funny because I called up the guy that I know that was at the Isuzu place, and I said, what's the price on a turbo? And he said, what part? And I said, I don't know, price on the turbo. And he goes, well, the body's $400. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound too bad. And I said, what do you mean by the body? He goes, well, that's just the propeller part. You know, it's like comes all in pieces, you know? And I'm like,
can you get to the turbo where you can put your hands on it?
Yeah.
The easiest thing to do there is just pop the intake off and just see what kind of, is it spin pretty well? Is it a lot of?
Oh yeah. No. I take the hose off of it, and it blows my hand away. When I rev up the motor, there's forced air there. I mean, like I said, I told the guy, like I said, I'm almost sure that the issue that I had, is computer wise because of that EGR being all wonky. Because, like I said, one day it'll run like a grape ape. I mean, I had no problems with it. And the next day, you're out there. I can get out and the fat guy can walk faster than the tool truck. You know,
it won't get out of its own way.
It wouldn't get out of its own way. Yeah. And then the next day, and then you turn it off. You turn it off and get in it, and man, that motherfucker will run over everybody. And so, I think something was, with the sensors telling the computer. That's my problem of going back and reading. But once I cleaned out and ran that additive, and then, like I said, I cleaned out the EGR valve on that, it seemed to make a big difference. I cleaned out one of the coolers, the other cooler's down, like I said, coming off right off the turbo, and those bolts look a little iffy. And like I said, when I got to make sure I have time to do that, because if I pull that off and something breaks, I got to be able to get it back together instead of I don't have any downtime.
Oh, I know. That's why some of the stuff that I put off on doing work on that truck, because of that same reason. If something happens and this part breaks and this truck doesn't roll tomorrow and I'm already promised on a load.
Yeah.
So, I leave all that to the weekend, and then again, I'll let you know if something happens. I get in touch with the office. Hey, because I had a radiator do that. I had to put a radiator in, and I went up there and was doing something. I actually had to get some parts out of the truck, and I was like, why is under the nose look all wet? And then I started checking stuff, and I was like, oh, the catch can is empty. And I start looking at it, one of the hoses, and I was just like, oh, good Lord, now I need a radiator.
On my old Isuzu, on the old truck, I went and same thing. It was like I had this little spot of coolant, up front, and I was like, I got to check this out. And I opened the hood up and look, and as soon as I put my hand on the radiator to look, it just shattered. The tank, busted. And I'm out there with sandpaper and brake clean it up with JB Weld, and I glued the top tank back together, loosened the radiator cap up, and drove the day. We did the day and picked up a radiator on the way home to change. So there's no downtime with the truck.
I'm right there with you. If this old horse don't run, there's no income coming in. We can't afford that. So I completely understand, Ryan.
So,
hey, do you guys know of any place to download service manuals? You guys use any special sites?
I did a while ago. I'm trying to think what it was.
I haven't. It's really hard, especially.
I think it was manualslib.com, like manualslibrary.com.
What are you looking for? Something specific, like a Caterpillar or Cummins or
International DT 466?
Oh, the DT 466.
Yeah, E.
Okay.
A lot of the big truck, a lot of those big trucks are proprietary. They're not going to let that information is very slim to none. Well, they'll give you enough. They'll give you enough to tease you, but as soon as you get asshole deep in it, man, you're fucked. So just be careful.
Well, let's put it this way, Brian. If you want to go to and get Cummins Insight, they will gladly sell you the license for Cummins Insight, and in which they'll give you a year of access.
Oh
And
yeah,
that
yeah.
starts at $6,800 for
Whoa.
a year of access.
Well,
Yeah.
if I gotta go real deep in it, I'm not going real deep in it. I just need to,
No,
That's why when you buy your subscription, you go down and you buy a 55-gallon of your ink, printer ink for whatever you got, and you download everything because you don't want to rebuy that. You're just gonna make your own book. Don't worry.
Yeah.
no, I'll make some phone calls tomorrow. I know a few guys that are really good with the DTs, and I'll see if I can't find you a manual. What year is yours? 03?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, the DT 466, great motor. Absolutely one of the best motors for those mid-sized Class 7 diesels and stuff like that. So
it's the E as well. So
I get a DT 466E. Gotcha. 03 model. Yeah, like I said, I'll make some phone calls and see. Because, like I said, not working tomorrow. I was going to be sending Ray his wheels, but he said put that on hold. So,
yeah, I appreciate it because
no problem.
I'm to that point where I'm starting to work towards that end of it. Yep.
No, having fun watching all the videos and stuff that's posted with you, and all the work and stuff you're doing, the cabinets and all that. I'm like, man, that stuff looks nice. I need to get you to do my bring you my Winnebago and go here, dude. Go nuts with it. Just pull this crap out and redo it because yours looks. It's like I love the way a lot of that stuff looks. It's like, man, I wish I could do that. My grandfather was a carpenter. I'm not. I'm a mechanic. Hand me a wrench. Don't hand me a saw. Don't hand me a miter.
Yeah, I was telling the wife, I was like, I wouldn't mind doing this for people, doing their buses or RVs.
Hey, believe it or not, there's a market for that.
Yeah.
For people like me who can't do it. I know my limitations. Like Harry Callahan said, man's got to know his limitations. I can't do it. I'll tell you, I am not messing with it because I will screw it up 7 ways to Sunday.
Yeah,
If
I'm in
that's
the
what
bus
you
now. I'll
do.
give you a little shot.
Oh yeah,
Beautiful.
nice.
So there's the ceiling sections I made, and there's the TV.
Like I said, if it was feasible, Lewis, I would bring you my RV and go make it so.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, I'm getting there. A couple more rolls of duct tape.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, it should be done. Actually, I'm just doing like the trim work and the tedious stuff.
What was it? The one guy said it. The last 10% of the project, it takes 90% of the time, or
Yeah, usually.
Yep.
Yeah, the last 10% usually never gets done. So
Yep. Like the whole front end, like the roof raise in the front part over the cab and stuff. I haven't touched that yet. I'm looking at spray foam.
you're gonna be walking through Walmart and find a shower curtain that looks really nice, and you're gonna put that right there and slide it off. Nobody pay no attention to the man behind the curtain up front.
Yep. The only reason I have to do it because I'm putting swivels on the seats, so we can swivel around, not be part of the living room seats.
now that is nice when you can do that, when you can get somewhere and then you just flip the switch and spin it around, and now you're
Part of the
in
family.
that living area.
Yep. If it wasn't for that, boy, believe me, I put a wall up.
Oh shit!
So Ray, I hope I didn't bombard you the other day with some of that old dragster video and footage and stuff.
It usually comes at the most inopportune time when I'm in the middle of working or driving or doing something. But I try to keep up with it as best I can.
Well, and when I say, I will say that when I see the cool stuff, I'm like, oh, this is, like I said, because that one was like 16 millimeter clean footage from the 60s.
There's a lot of cool stuff like that out there now. I watch a lot of it too. I watch a lot of it on YouTube anyway. I get it in my feed, so I do see a lot of that stuff. I watch all the old dragster stuff and the gasser stuff, and it's in regular rotation.
Hey, it's 11 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and get off the live stream.
Yeah.
So for everybody that's watching on YouTube and Facebook, we appreciate you coming, and please tell all your friends and family that we do this every Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern. We talk about it all.
Next week we'll talk about let's see, Samoan Land Cruisers. I don't know.
There you go.
Something crazy.
Yeah, we might have a special guest. We might have Mr. Fellas. So please like, share, and subscribe.
Right.